What's up, guys, and welcome back to season two of the Rizz Zone podcast. We're so happy to be back after a long hiatus. Just to clear the air, over the past several months, we've been targeted by the Biden administration in a political deplatforming by the administration, their corrupt leftist agenda. Now, months and months of litigation has resulted in a settlement where they're paying us of money, a lot of money. So now we're back. We're much richer than we were before, and we can do shows again every single week for the whole season. A lot to look forward to here, guys. I'm in fantasy. Kinc Chugs, we're back.
And how great it is to be back on the Rizz Zone pod with you and fantasy. I'm King Chugs, and we're super excited to kick off the season here with our preseason massive mega podcast. Today, we're joined by our first ever special guest, Bobby Skinner. Bobby will be bringing all of his G-Men expertise to the podcast this week to help us cover one of the most anticipated seasons in recent history, the 2025 New York Football Giants season.
Happy to be here, King Chugs and Fantasy. I'm really excited to share direct insights straight from the mind of Bobby Skinner. I know a large portion of your viewer base is very concerned with the New York Football Giants, and it's our goal to provide exactly what their audience is looking for.
Excellent. Well, thanks again for hopping on the show with us, Bobby. So today we wanted to do a massive mega preseason podcast for the NFL season. We're also going to be doing at the end of this show a absolutely huge, massive mailbag to answer all of our fans' questions from this summer and throughout the past few weeks as we lead up to the NFL season. So as always, make sure to flood the comments with your questions for next week's show. Now let's get into the podcast.
Now, Kinc Chugs, before we do that, it's time to pop.
It is time to pop. What are you all working with today?
We've got the 10 mg amino sours chills,
Oh,
strawberry
those
sundae
are
flavor.
those are unbelievable. I'm jealous. I just have the wild berry chill fives. So let's go ahead and pop those, and then we'll get right into the show.
Wow, I haven't had one since the lawsuit started, and these are fantastic.
Deeply chill.
Deeply
Incredible.
chill is right. All right, one last thing before we actually get into the podcast is we have to shout out our friends and our partners. So Blue Chew, and again, this podcast would not be possible with our longtime friends over there at Blue Chew. Blue Chew makes sure we can perform and capitalize on our crazy, insane Rizz plays. We have a big one here, fellas. We're extremely proud to have Stateside Vodka as our newest partner for season 2 of the Rizz Zone Pop. They're from Jersey Shore, and we know that the Jersey Shore is one of the absolute best Rizz locations in the entire world. So thanks again to our new partners at Stateside Vodka. And finally, we have Crispy Chicken. As we all know, we're just about wrapping up what has widely been acknowledged as Crispy Chicken Summer. Looking forward to the fall, Crispy Chicken is great for Sundays and really every single day of the week. We love crispy chicken sandwiches, Thai crispy chicken from Uber Eats with that garlic aioli on top, crispy chicken buffalo wings for the slate, and every type of crispy chicken for its healthy and nutritional value. All right, now that that's out of the way, let's get into the podcast.
Thanks for taking us through that, Kinc Chugs. We've got an absolutely massive amount of ground to cover with all of the major stories from the offseason. How about we go ahead and start off with a detailed breakdown in each and every single story from this offseason?
Well, that kind of sounds like a lot of work. Are you sure we actually have to do that?
All right, I guess not really. That does sound like a lot of work. At least what we at least owe the viewers is a breakdown of the most important story from this offseason. That's right. We're going to be talking about Daniel Jones taking his creepy stare Rizz talent to the Indianapolis Colts. Wow. what a blockbuster move in the NFL. They really picked
This
up one of the best quarterbacks in the league for pennies on the dollar.
I just want to frame this from the perspective of the absolutely deplorable general manager of the New York Football Giants, Joe Schoen. Joe Schoen cuts Daniel Jones while under contract with the team mid-season. And what happens? He gets picked up by an unbelievably run franchise over there in Indianapolis, and they turn him into the new franchise quarterback for the long-term, hopefully, future. And I think it's an expert move on the behalf of those guys, and we're very excited for what the Colts and Daniel Jones have to offer.
Bobby, as a longtime Giants insider, do you have any insights to share about Daniel Jones and his creepy stare Rizz?
I mean, I think it's clear already that he was able to Rizz down the entire Indianapolis Colts organization. And no less, he took a fourth overall pick to the absolute cleaners in training camp and was able to supplant him and establish himself as the future of this franchise for decades to come.
Great insight there, Bobby. And another point that I think we really need to touch on here is the Colts' expectations for the season. So I know here at the Rizz Zone Pod, we love the Colts this year as our sleeper playoff team. We actually have them, and we'll get into this in a section that we're doing further into the podcast, but we have them as the AFC South winners. That's right, the winners of the division and making the playoffs there. And one of the reasons for that, of course, is Daniel Jones. So why don't we go through and talk about what each of us like most about Daniel Jones being the new franchise, hopefully quarterback there in Indianapolis. Let's start off with you and Fantasy.
Yeah, I mean, a lot to say about DJ. As a recovering former Giants fan, I saw a lot of DJ out there in New York. You know, we would always see him at Baird's Ale House. He's always able to think on the run. He's a guy that processes quickly, extremely quickly. He knows what he's doing before the play. He knows what he's doing before he gets to the bars. And we've seen him at Baird's walk in there and scoop Chugs out without even saying a single word, just using his eyes. That's something he does extremely well, is using his eyes and his creepy stare Rizz to absolutely stare down his targets and the chicks at the bars. I'm excited to see what he can capitalize on in Indy with all those corn-fed Midwestern chigs.
Excellent point there on the creepy stare Rizz. We all know he's one of the best in the business at the CSR. What about you, Bobby? What are your expectations or things you're most excited to see from DJ this year on his new team?
Well, piggybacking off of what N Fantasy touched on there with the corn-fed chigs of the Midwest. I mean, I'm very excited to see him continue to shift his focus away from the field. It's clear after watching him on the Giants that the only hole shots he cares about are the ones that come after the bar in his bedroom. I think the processing speed that we see on the field, is just a slight glimpse at what we can expect from him at those bars. Going ugly early. That's kind of what we saw from him on the field, and I think that'll translate well to the bars out west, namely the store when he's in town.
Yes, the store is one of the best CSR bars in all of the Midwest. So looking forward to seeing what DJ and his new team, the Colts, can do this season. And again, we're extremely high on them. I think we have some potential future Colts fan in the podcast here. So we'll just wait and see, but very much looking forward to the new opportunity for DJ. Before we move on from DJ and the Colts, we just wanted to take a brief moment and talk about the passing of former Colts owner Jim Irsay. Jim had unbelievable Rizz. Now, he was a massive alcoholic and drug addict, so at times he probably would get a little bit too sloppy here and there at the bars, maybe get a little bit too touchy, maybe fall over, maybe even get kicked out of the bar. But thankfully, because he was a huge, massive billionaire, he was usually able to buy himself out of these tricky situations. So we all have a lot of respect for Jim, what he did with the franchise, winning that Super Bowl. and leading it to becoming one of the most storied franchises in all of the NFL. We will deeply, deeply miss Jim Irsay.
Well said, Kinc. I think many of those attributes run in the name, Jim.
Absolutely. Very sharp point there, Bobby. Next up, I think it's important with the departure of Daniel Jones. You would think losing a star QB like the Giants did would have some seriously negative implications for their season. But Bobby, as we all know, the Giants are clearly, clearly the favorites to be in the Super Bowl from the NFC for a number of reasons. Now, why don't we talk about some key insights, what we can expect to see out of those New York Football Giants this year?
Yes, couldn't have said it better myself. It certainly is our pick coming out of the NFC, a weak NFC in this year, 2025. I think, firstly, looking at that first month, really had a cakewalk of a schedule with the Commanders, the Cowboys, the Chiefs, and the Chargers. We expect Russ to get up to a hot start. Should be a decent number of calls for him to be placed by Jackson Dart by week 3. Um, but, I think that's just par for the course. Generally, as Giants fans, we like to do that very early in the year. Make sure that the ownership feels pressure. Make sure that the coaching staff feels like every week could be their last. And that type of urgency is just what Giants have been known for developing the best from their players and putting the best product they can out on the field.
Mm-hmm. Agreed. Great point there, Bobby. And as you all know, every listener of the podcast knows I'm a huge, huge Russ guy. So I was quite excited when he had this next opportunity, next chapter with the G-Men. But unfortunately, I've come around to the fact that everything good that we talk about and like about Russ, it's now long in the past. Most notably, his Rizz ability to steal Ciara from Future. Everyone in Atlanta knows that Future has some of the sharpest, thickest Rizz in the whole rap game, and Russ was able to steal his girl and raise Future's child as his own. But guys, that's 10 plus years ago. The Super Bowl, 12 years ago. We're living in the past with Russ. He's not the answer to Joe Shane and Brian Daboll's terrible, terrible questions. And I think we need to face reality that Jackson Dart, JD, is the future of the franchise. So my question for you all here is, what week or how long to the season do we expect before we see JD taking the reins and using his crazy on-field aura to go absolutely crush it at Bears every single weekend?
Yeah, great analysis there, Kinc Chugs. Could not have said it any better myself. I'm setting the official Rizz Zone house line at 3.5 games. 3.5. Jackson Dart has incredible Rizz. He's a known Hoboken guy. He's an absolute demon out there in Hoboken at Deer Mod. It's incredible what we see him do in such little time here. Very, very excited to see him get out on the field in less than 4 games. Bobby,
less than
any
4
insights?
games.
Yeah, I think that 3.5 line is totally appropriate. I've been eyeing a week 10 first start against the Bears. It'll be a soft landing for Jackson Dart to come in after coming in previous weeks off the bench. I think given Russ, he does have his best days behind him, as Kinc Chugs alluded to. I think we can expect him to be able to run some garbage time offense, getting blown out by the Eagles twice in 3 weeks. And I really think that final nail in the coffin will be the Giants' inability to generate any offense against a stout 49ers defense on November 2nd at home in front of a home crowd.
All right, a couple of different timetables there. We have week 8, maybe, I think, and then week 4 from N Fantasy. I personally think Russ can hold in there until after their bye, whenever that might be. I'm not quite too sure. Don't have the schedule up here, but whenever the bye is, that's what we like to say in the media. After the bye, we'll make some changes. So that's my expectation for JD taking over the reins and doing what he does best at Deer Mod as a massive Hoboken guy. So moving on, And we're going to stick to the Giants season preview here, but we have a fun little game, a specially requested segment from one of our loyal viewers called Fuck, Marry, Kill, the Giants quarterback room. How about End Fantasy? You lead off the way and talk us through your thinking here.
Well, I think this is extremely obvious. I don't think you have to really overthink this one. Obviously, we've spoken about how Russ is past his prime. You got to kill him right off the bat. He's done. You're taking him out. Now, as we all know, it's better to have a young wife, a young, attractive wife who can keep up with all of your needs. So, in that vein, I am marrying Jackson Dart. And of course, we know what Jameis is. He is a fun one night stand type of guy. You got to fuck Jameis. You absolutely need to fuck Jameis. I don't think there's any other way of thinking about it.
I couldn't have said it better than myself. You have to fuck Jameis. Crazy one night stand guy, super freaky. So that's an excellent point. All right. Well, that wraps up our Giants season preview. Moving along, let's do our division by division winners.
Huh.
So many divisions.
Yeah, I think there's like 8 divisions. That's quite. We didn't really even plan this one out. Looks like our producer Jim wants us to go through every division and predict the winners, but that's going to be a ton of work, and we didn't do any research at all on that. So I think we're just going to skip that and move on to our next topic, which is our 2025 Super Bowl season predictions. Let's start with you, Bobby. What's your expectations for the big game this year down in Atlanta? Maybe might be in Atlanta or Miami. I think it's maybe one of the two, but yeah,
It's
I'm kind of
actually
now.
in Santa Clara, California.
Oh, there we go. Okay. Santa Clara, California. What are your predictions for the big game, Super Bowl 57 or 8, maybe? All right. Looks like Bobby.
Oh, sorry. I thought we were starting with N.
No, we're going to switch it up this time and go with you, Bobby. What do we think?
Great.
Looks like
Thanks for giving me the ball here.
Bobby.
Oh, yeah. Big time. Big time. I mean, I think as a Giants fan, it'd make me very, very happy if the Giants were there, but I just think we're 1 year early. I think we're just 1 year out. And second best would be to see my enemy in pain, and that would be the Cowboys. Being if the Cowboys can look at their decision to trade Micah Parsons and see an immediate impact for the benefactor of that trade being the Packers, that's what I need. And I see the Packers doing just that. I think Jordan Love is coming into his age 27 or 28 season, hitting his stride there. And I think that Micah will be the piece that they needed to put them over the edge. I see the Packers coming out of the NFC, and I see them taking down the Ravens, something that many people in our audience would be very happy to see. Lamar falling just short.
I love that. Go, Pack, go. All right, and Fantasy, how about you?
Wow, what an incredible take there from Bobby. Now, I, on the other hand, even though we're going to see a little bit of Russ here, as I mentioned previously, I don't think he's going to play a meaningful number of games. I think Jackson Dart takes over and goes undefeated as the New York Giants quarterback this season. I'm taking the Giants to win over the Chargers this year with Jackson Dart at the helm.
The Giants and Jackson Dart going into Dearmod and Santa Clara and getting the job done over G Herbo, who we're going to touch on a little bit later into the show. What a player. All right, for my season prediction, it's the exact same as last year. If you recall, I predicted that the Rams, the LA Rams, my second team, would beat Josh Allen and the Bills. That would make it 6 Super Bowl losses in 6 appearances for the Buffalo Bills. But I'm going to stick to the exact same prediction as last year because absolutely nothing has changed for either organization. We did add Devontae Adams, so that's a little bit helpful, but he's getting up there. Age 33 season. We all know the big drop off there, so that's not a huge factor. But Matt Stafford's all healthy and ready to go, and Puka Nakua is the same dog he's always been. Hard-nosed, gritty. So we're quite excited out there in LA for the Rams to beat the Bills in the Super Bowl.
King Chugs, do you have anything to say to address the rumors of Matt Stafford being deceased?
Oh, I have heard about those rumors that Matt Stafford is deceased. That's all kind of noise for the media. We're trying to distract week 1 opponents, week 2 opponents, and have them think that Matt Stafford is deceased, when in reality, he's just back home with the wife using those wonderful sleep number beds and sleeping off the back injury. So we're all fine out there in Inglewood. All right, moving along now. Ben, why don't you introduce our next segment here?
Now, this segment needs absolutely no introduction. This is a fan favorite, a time-tested segment. Everyone's favorite, Rizz to Real, how to seal the deal. Now, Kinc Chugs, you're our headline story here. Why don't you walk us through the Rizz plays that you deployed not only recently, but just last night?
I would be honored and happy to share with the audience my Rizz to Real, how to not seal the deal experience last night. So, one of my friends and I, who he's a couple years younger than me, just moved up to the city, and we were extremely, extremely bored. Friday night, we're watching some football, kicking back, drinking a couple BL bottles, kid, and we're thinking, we have no Rizz plays. All the girls that we wanted to Rizz were out of town. So we went on Hinge and we found a girl on my Hinge that is visiting the city for a month from Canada. And so we thought it would be a great idea if we could take her out and her friend out and show her the city. So I'm talking to her. I asked if she wants to run a classic two. And it just so happens that her single cousin, was in town staying with her. So we set up a twos pregame, at my apartment for Saturday at 8 or 8:30, last night at 8:30. But I framed it around, wow, we could go to my super sick rooftop with city skyline views and drink up there, and then go to the lounge, the Rizz Lounge in the Seaport. And so as soon as they get here, we go to my apartment, we get the drinks, the surf sides made with all natural stateside vodka, and we get a handle, and some cups, and some pineapple juice. And we go up to the roof deck on the PH2 level, and there's a private event. It's completely booked out. It's reserved. We can't go. So I have to think quick on my feet. My Rizz play is completely failing, horribly failing. We go back down to my apartment, and we work on those surfs and a little bit of liquor. And they had some boxed wine too, some of that boxed wine. And so we're just drinking a little bit. And then we decide after a bit that we're going to go to the Rizz Lounge. The Rizz Lounge. So we're all pretty drunk at this point. My little friend and I, we've been drinking since 3. And mind you, the girls showed up at 9:45 because they were drinking at a bar instead of coming to the pregame on time, the Rizz pregame, the twos. So anyway, we have a great time at the lounge. The two-man's going really well, but there's a fatal flaw in the plan. My little friend got so fucked up that he took a bunch of Adderall before the girls came so we could sober up. But the Adderall, he explained it makes him a little crazy. So he's super touchy all over this girl. And she kind of liked it at first, but then it's just nonstop, super touchy, not creepy Rizz stare. Rizz just it wasn't good. And he was sweating. His shirt was a little bit unbuttoned. He looked horrible. So after a while, I have to pull him aside and give him one of those dreaded talks. When you're running the twos, it's going well for you, but you have a weak link. So I gave him a little bit of talk. We got to sober you up. You can't be so touchy. She doesn't really like it, blah, blah, blah. And he cleaned up his act a little bit, but it was too little, too late. She wouldn't go home with him. And what did that mean for me? Well, it meant that I was the victim of his actions. The victim of someone else's actions ruined my Rizz to Real, how to seal the deal play. And they had to go home together. So unfortunately, things did not work out for me, but it had absolutely nothing to do with my own Rizz. Just want to put that out there. Mine was pretty good. Thanks for letting me air that one out, guys. Moving along to you, and any Rizz to real, how to seal the deal moments?
No, no, not really any at all. But we do have a viewer submission for this one. We have our good friend over at the Jimison Massage Parlor. He has a fetish for Latino women. It's something that he's always had, and something that he cannot help himself but to act on. So recently, he's been all over the Latino hinge, just sending out likes left and right. It hasn't been successful, but a few weeks back, he was at the Rizz bar with his buddy CD Spreads, who you may know from the college football CFB show. Now, our friend at the Jimison Massage Parlor, standing around, just looking at his phone like he usually does at the bars. No Rizz at all. But this pure size Latina comes over and starts talking to him. They came up to him. Not only did that seal it for the night, it was over from there. He went on not one, not two, but three follow-up dates with this busty Latina. Absolutely fantastic work. Great recovery from his own shortcomings. When they come up to you, that's the key lesson here. When they come up to you, you have to act on it. You must.
That's a great story from Jimison Massage Parlor, one of the viewers. Love to hear how he was able to rebound from L negative Rizz of standing around and checking the ESPN app and translating that into off the field Rizz L success. All right, my next one here from the Rizz to Real How to Seal the Deal segment is a future Rizz play. Next weekend, my little friend and I, the same one who got overly touchy and destroyed the classic twos that we ran last night, we have a redemption arc here, ladies and gentlemen. The comeback player of the year, hopefully, will get to take the field again next Friday with me when we run a classic two-man on two sisters. That's right, two sisters. They live just down the road from the both of us. Now, he has been seeing one of the sisters already for about a month. 20. That's right, 20. And I will be being set up with the older sister, 23. Now, these two women live together, and it's perfect. Just down the road from us. The only issue is, as I mentioned, one of them is 20. So this cannot be a classic Rizz Lounge two-man play. We have to get creative. There will be no bars involved. So what are we thinking? We're going to try the same Rizz play as last weekend, where we tell them we can have a sweet pregame on my insane city skyline view roof deck. But surely, as soon as we get up there, it'll be booked out for a private event. So that's the play for next weekend. A classic twos with two sisters, 20 and 23.
Wow. Wow. That is called some fantastic thinking on your feet, Rizz. When you find something that works, you stick to it. As we know, sweet rooftop decks are every girl's dream. Kinc Chugs, you are a lucky man to have that sweet rooftop deck, even though you may not be able to access it. But it's a great play, and you should keep that one up. Keep us posted on what happens there. Now, moving on to our
Absolutely.
next segment here. We are doing a one-off specialty segment for this episode, the Specialty Fall Rizz Guide. How to leverage football season to win off the field, meaning at the bars, of course. Chugs, why don't you kick us off here?
Happy to do so. So a lot of our viewers were interested with the football season and the time commitment that it is. How are you able to maintain and even excel in Rizz? How to leverage the football season to win at the bar. So first off, our main number one most important tip here is to find a Midwestern bird, potentially a Buckeye. a Buckeye fan, or a massive, massive Pats fan. Midwestern bird, Pats fan. So this way, you're able to get super fucked up at the bar with them and do what you love doing most. Watching football with a bucket of ice cold BL bottles, kid. And Midwestern birds are great for Northeast winters too. Because of their typical refrigerator build, they're able to keep you nice and warm. And speaking of warm, there's almost no better feeling than taking down an ice cold shot of stateside vodka while enjoying a game with your new Midwestern bird. The warm feeling you get as the all natural stateside vodka goes down is absolutely unmatched. Now, and fantasy, do you have any advice you want to give to the viewers on how to best leverage the football season to translate into off the field Rizz success?
Absolutely. Absolutely, I do. One of the key plays for football season is to make sure you're hanging out in a place where there will be a lot of 22-year-old birds. Find your local Penn State bar, throw on your Saquon jersey. When they just get out of college, they're still itching to get extremely fucked up and watch the games. Now, that's something that you absolutely must capitalize on. 22-year-old birds getting fucked up at the local Penn State bar, you just swoop right in and take them home.
Now let's kick it back to Bobby here. Any advice for the viewers here, Bobby?
I totally forgot the question.
Oh, no worries. That sour 10 must be really hitting now. But anyway, Bobby, we're asking how to best leverage the football season to win with Rizz.
Well, I think women are very adept at picking up on small social cues, often ones that we have no idea are going on. So generally, my advice would be if you're very, very upset or very, very happy about the result of a given result, just ride those emotions and assume that either everything's going extremely well if you won or extremely badly if you lost. And those will generally be the correct things to follow.
Wonderful advice. Great advice there, Bobby. Now let's get into our massive mailbag here, where we answer all of your questions here on the podcast every single week. Just make sure you're dropping in your questions in the comment section below. I'm going to kick it here to you and Fantasy to start off with our first question.
Absolutely, Kinc Chugs. We'll kick it off with one from at Creepy Ohio State R. Not sure who that is, but we appreciate the support. Yo, what's up, N and Chugs? The other night I took home a chig after a third date and she fell asleep. Is that chill? Well, Creep, I don't really think so. She was so tired from chilling with you. It could not have been that fun at all. You must have had horrible, horrible Rizz. Or she must have been so unbelievably fucked up that you couldn't even tell that she didn't want to stay awake. That is not that chill, Creep.
No, not chill at all. All right, next question coming in here from at Crispy Chicken Lover. He wants to know what the ideal age gap is when dating girls. He says, I'm about to be 26 and I'm curious to know how to best leverage my mid-20s for Rizz plays. Well, that's a good question and something that we're quite passionate about here at the Rizz Zone Pod. So at 26, your ideal age would be 21 or 22. They could be in college still. We don't really have an opinion on if that's preferable or not, but there are advantages. But ideally, you want them 21 or 22. 21 is the typical base because you do want the opportunities to go to the bar with them, to get some drinks at dinner, and it just makes it an easier process. But at the same time, when they're 21 or 22, they don't have access to the same experience in life and resources that you might have. So you're able to really, really impress them with a lot less of your hard work money than with a girl who's 26. So we think, again, 21 or 22 as a 26-year-old guy is optimal. But thanks for putting that question. That's a really good one.
Yeah, thanks for that one, Crispy Chicken Lover. Looks like we've got another one in from at Burin Timison. Wants to know our thoughts on the Carolina Panthers season. He asks, are playoffs a realistic goal for the Peas? As a huge, massive Panthers fan, I really think the team is ready to take the next step and win the division. Well, Burin Timison, absolutely not. The Panthers continue to be one of the worst run franchises in American sports, as Chugs is well aware of, given his past affiliations with the organization. Bryce Young is a huge bust. He is no Rizz, zero top 16 Rizz upside. He has extreme, extreme negative aura, and he's only 5'9". It'd be nearly impossible to think girls are even able to see you at the bars. How are you supposed to be able to see a 5'9" man in a crowd of bars? He definitely does not clean up at bars like the store, and there's nothing further to say.
I echo every sentiment there about the miserable, pathetic Peas. All right, moving on to the next question here from at Keith. Hey guys, I found out this girl I was seeing used to bang DJ, Daniel Jones. She's really, really bad, but I'm having a hard time getting over that one of the league's best, most talented top quarterbacks used to get his with her. Any suggestion for how I'm able to get the thought of Danny banging her out of my head? Sometimes I have trouble performing because he's all I can think about. Well, Keith, that certainly is a tough situation because you know in the back of your mind, wow, I will absolutely never outperform DJ. I think one course of action could be to ghost her. That way, you never have to think about her or DJ again. But if you want to continue seeing her because she's really, really bad, and you're still having those performance issues you spoke about, we recommend giving our friends at Blue Chew a visit, where all your performance issues can be resolved with one chewable generic Cialis tablet. All right, let's kick it back to you and for the next question here.
Wow. Looks like we got a great one here from at Cruz. Understand the guys have been spending a lot of time with their new friend Reggie. Do you suggest taking Reggie with you on the way to the bars to enhance your Rizz? Now, at Cruz, absolutely not. You get way too tired and you cannot perform. We've seen a number of guys, a number of them try to do this exact tactic. But as we've seen in the past, you get way too tired. You get so tired, you just have to go home and hang out with Reggie solo. I would not recommend it as a Rizz play. It just does not work out as you expect. Now, it does help you pregame a little bit faster, but that's not always a good thing. You want to make sure you're in the right headspace and you're not extremely, extremely tired.
Yep, we don't recommend going to the bar with Reg, but as soon as you get home from Dearmont or Bayard's, be sure to hang out with Reggie for at least another hour just to get you over the finish line. Looks like we got a fresh one in from the team over at Creepy Rizz Stare Realty. Shout out to CSR Realty. So what are your early predictions for Rizz Player of the Year? Few strong contenders out there. Wow, what a great question. Something that we always like to do here in our massive mega preview podcast is talk through who we expect to take that next jump in Rizz, that huge, enormous step toward becoming the Rizz Player of the Year. And there are a few strong contenders out there, as CSR Realty mentioned, but one that really catches our eye going into the season is Herbo. Starting off insanely strong after we learned that he's been rizzing Madison Beer. That's an unbelievable start to the season. Madison Beer is one of the baddest in the game, but some potential shortcomings we see is that we're not sure he has the supporting cast around him who can also successfully get theirs at the store in the late hours of the night. So it's a bit of a one-man Rizz play here where the others are not pulling their weight in the 5-man, the 6-man, even the 11-man. But we'll just have to stay tuned with Herbo and we are very optimistic about his chances going into the season. Next up, I think, would be Josh Allen, who we expect to perennially be on the list, especially after he locked down the beautiful Haley Steinfeld this summer in their opulent wedding. And I bet a lot of our viewers watched Sinners. What a wonderful movie. And I'm sure you all remember that freaky closet scene with Michael B. Jordan, where she bites his neck. Super freaky. One of the baddest in the game, and Josh Polder. So I think Josh Allen and Herbo are our leading contenders for the Rizz Player of the Year going into the season, but appreciate the question there, CSR.
Now, Chugs, I don't think we can ignore the elephant in the room here. We cannot have a list like this without putting the Indianapolis Colts quarterback, Daniel Jones, near the top. Think about the opportunity he has. He's got some of the best creepy stare Rizz in the game. Coming out of Hoboken, it's going to be a slight adjustment. But I think when you're such a high-level player and such a high-level Rizzer like Daniel Jones, and you get access to a whole horde, some would say, of Midwestern chigs, the possibilities are endless. We know this to be true. Now, Bobby, do you have any picks here? I know you spent a lot of time analyzing the Rizz around the league.
Thanks for swinging the rock. I definitely agree with you and King Chugs about all those top three. I also agree with King Chugs omitting Daniel Jones from the initial list because we kind of knew that he was always going to be up there. My pick, based on reviewing some tape from the summer, would be Stephon Diggs. Once picked by the entire Vikings locker room to not date their daughter, Diggs was back at it again on the water in Miami using an undisclosed pink powder as a Rizz supplement. I was just very impressed by his willingness to do that both on camera and in the offseason, clearly trying things out, waiting to get back on the field and back in the bars.
That is some real solid analysis there, Bobby. Unfortunately, we forgot to inform you before the podcast that yes, he's not going to be eligible for this award at all. There's some prerequisites that he doesn't meet. So, yeah, unfortunately, Stephon Diggs is not an eligible candidate.
All right, well, that wraps up our massive mailbag for this season's mega massive preview episode of the Rizz Zone Pod. Thank you so much for hanging out with us tonight and covering these high-level, important topics and talking through all the potential Rizz plays of the season. We'll be right back here next week, every Sunday for the entire season, every single week.
Don't forget to like and subscribe. Thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you next week.